Sangam na kuryat pramadasu jatu yogashya param paramarudukshu matsevaya pratilabdhatmalabho vadanti ya niryaya dvaramasya. Sangam na kuryat pramadatsu jatu yogasya param paramarukshu matsevaya pratilabdhatmalabho vadanti ya niryaya dvaramasya. Synonyms: Sangam, association. No, not. Kurya, one should make. Pramadasu, with women. Jatu, ever. Yogasha, of yoga. Param, culmination. Param, topmost. Arurukshu, one who aspires to reach. Matsevaya, by rendering service unto me. Pratilabdha, obtained. Atmalabha, self-realization. Vadanti, they say. Ya, which women? Niraya, to hell. Dwaram, the gateway. Asya, of the advancing devotee. Translation by Divine Grace Received Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman. For such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. Purport by His Divine Grace Received Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. The culmination of yoga is full Krishna consciousness. This is affirmed in Bhagavad Gita. A person who is always thinking of Krishna in devotion is the topmost of all yogis. And in the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also stated that when one becomes freed from material contamination by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can at that time understand the science of God. Here, the Lord word pratilabdhatma labha occurs. Atma means self and labha means gain. Generally, conditioned souls have lost their atma or self, but those who are transcendentalists have realized the self. It is directed that such a self-realized soul who aspires to the topmost platform of yogic perfection should not associate with young women. In the modern age, however, there are so many rascals who recommend that while one has genitals, he should enjoy women as much as he likes. At the same time, he can become a yogi. In no standard yoga system is the association of women accepted. It is clearly stated here that the association of women is the gateway to hellish life. The association of women is very much restricted in the Vedic civilization. Out of the four social divisions, the Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, three orders are strictly prohibited from the association of women. Only the grihasthas or householders are given license to have an intimate relationship with a woman, and that relationship is also restricted for begetting nice children. If, however, one wants to stick to continued existence in the material world, he may indulge in female association unrestrictedly. Om Ajnana-Timirandasya Jnana-Janashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shivatapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Shakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpataru Chakupasindhu Vachapatidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gradually Vasa Nitya Paramatmani Balaputra Subhasya Jagannath Aitam. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. Today it's a wonderful verse which speaks about uh, the presence of women in our life as we venture into the culmination of yoga system. So Srila Prabhupada is very nicely mentioning that as we progress in the yoga ladder, the culmination of yoga, as we improve in this sadhana, the presence of an attractive woman in our life is considered to be the gateway to health for an advancing devotee. So this is something which is referred here as attractive woman, but actually it is contextual because for a woman who is progressing in as in and advancing as a Mataji devotee, and the same argument of getting related with attractive men also plays a role as he or she is growing in the culmination of yoga system. So here Kapiladev is explaining to Mother Devahuti that Sangam na kuryat pramadas jati. That means Sangam means association with pramadas, means with a woman is uh, is yogyasya param param arupiksha. That means who wants to aspire to reach higher and higher in the yogic ladder, it has to be understood that this process of sangam with a woman and the culmination of advancement in yogic ladder, they are mutually exclusive. You can make progress if you start having relationship, material relationship with a woman, with a beautiful woman in this case. And also, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about uh, of the four ashramas we have, as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturveda Vajante. That means Chaturvarnam Maya system. Sorry, Chaturvarnam Maya system. Uh, Out of the four Varnas, Brahmachari, the Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi. Brahmachari in the childhood, when you are basically aspiring to acquire knowledge, then Grihastha when you are having a household life, Vanaprastha when you are maintaining a retired life, and Sannyas when you are basically uh, left the material world and you're relying purely on Krishna's mercy. In these four paths, the three paths, three phases of the Varnashram system, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, relationship with a woman is strictly prohibited. Only for Grihasthas, there is a little license for an intimate relationship with a woman for begetting children. And that is only for begetting a Krishna conscious children. For the other three Varnas, the social divisions, it is prohibited. And actually, Srila Prabhupada is using the word rascal here, where he's saying that there are many Babajis in Vrindavan who are maintaining a detached life, but they cannot detach themselves from a woman. And Srila Prabhupada has spoken to some devotees who were searching in US and Canada. There are documented evidence that these devotees, after going to different places in Vrindavan, and there was a famous uh, saintly person in Vrindavan who has influenced this devotee, and this devotee happens to meet Srila Prabhupada in US or Canada, and Srila Prabhupada is explaining to this person about Krishna consciousness, and this devotee reflects that Srila Prabhupada is a very knowledgeable sadhu in Vrindavan who has a lot of knowledge in Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada has gone from the ranks of, growing through Radha Damodar and on to United States through Jaladuta. So he knows that sannyasi, that so-called sannyasi, and he refers to that devotee, that person or the Babaji in this example has women in his ashram. So the Prabhupada is using a very strong word rascals who recommend that while one has genitals, he should enjoy women as much as possible and can still become a yogi. They're counterintuitive. And there are documented evidence that Srila Prabhupada is very clear about our process. So that's the reason why our process of acquiring sannyas, initiation, and so on and so forth have very strict guidelines. So as we move back to Kapiladev's uh, uh, discourse to Mother Devahuti, today we are going to discuss a little bit about this beautiful pastime. As you can see, this saintly person has a deer-like horn in his head, and you may have known this pastime, but if you don't, then sit back and we'll discuss about this beautiful pastime where we will discuss about the association of women in this person's life, the saintly person's life. So this personality is a very powerful personality, but he has got deer-like horns. So, so here we're talking about uh, uh, here we're talking about a personality whose name is Rishya Shringa. Rishya Shringa. That means he's a rishi, but he has horns like a deer. He's a rishi. So in this pastime, what happens is there is a sage whose name is Vibhandar, and this pastime is related to Ramayana actually. So this sage Vibhandar is engaged in penance and tapasya since childhood. But when these tapasyas go wrong, the seat of Indra is in disarray. So Indra sends Urvasi to distract Vibhandar. So Urvashi successfully breaks Vibhandar's penance and blackmails him to bore a son to her. So in return, Vibhandar gives his semen and tells her to impregnate herself. But Urvasi's primary mission is to break the tapasya, not to bear a son or daughter. So what Urvasi did was she passed on that semen to an impregnating deer, and the deer soon became pregnant, and he bore a human baby in her womb, and eventually a human being was born from a deer who had a horn like a deer, which I showed you some time back. So this personality was called Rishashringa. And in this process, as Vivanda's penance was broken, Vivandam had hatred for Urbasi. Just not Urbasi, but Vivandak developed tremendous hatred towards women in general. So he decides to raise his son Rishashringa, who you saw in the past slide, with a horn in an isolated part of a forest where there is no feminine entity and there is no attraction, no physical attraction, conjugal attraction. So Rishishringa grows up without seeing any woman and is not aware of any existence that there is such a woman. So he's a boy, he's growing up in a saintly situation, and he is unaware of the existence of the opposite sex. As you know, opposite sex attracts each other, but this person was insulated from all of that. So, under the guidance of the father Vivanda, Rishishringa started gaining yogic powers. So, he was doing meditation, he was doing chanting, and so the adjacent to the forest where Rishishringa is put in, and his father Vivandak is not allowing him to go to the social angle, restricting him to the forest that is under the jurisdiction of King Anga, kingdom of Anga, which was ruled by King Romapada. Romapada was the king of King Anga. So this kingdom Anga had plunged into drought and famine, and and there was a instruction to King Romapada that if the messengers of Romapada uh, mentioned to the king Ramapada that there is a personality who is residing in the forest adjacent to your kingdom, and if he sets feet in your kingdom will get rain and there will be prosperity. So, so there is a plan was hatched wherein King Romapada is setting up some good-looking women who are uh, who are there to lure who are going to be sent as emissaries. As you know, in the in during war and all, uh, women are used as weapons, wherein they go and entice the men of the other side. So in the same way, King Romapada sent some women into the forest. But if the women are of uh, social class and uh, modern attire, it may derail the plan or strategy to entice Rishi Sringa. So these women uh, who were not chaste were sent by King Romapada to the forest as rishis, as rishi kanyas. So Rishi Sringa's dad Vibanda was not aware of this plan. He was not aware of this plan. So when Vibanda was not in the hermitage, this woman who was uh, attired of a rishi kanya, they come and they started to request uh, Rishi Sringa for service. Rishi Sringa has never seen a woman in her life. He had deer like horns and he had never seen. So initially uh, he sort of interacted with them without any without any interest. But but the ladies who were sent as emissaries by Romapada uh, invited Rishishringa to their hermitage, which was nearby. And uh, so this interaction between Rishishringa, who has never seen a woman, and these unchaste women sent by Romapada, they got interested. And eventually, Rishishringa went to the hermitage of the unchaste woman, and there he was taken care by the unchaste woman, and and gradually this unchaste woman led Rishishringa into the kingdom of Anga, where Romapada was ruling. And when Rishishringa landed his feet, and there was rain, and there was, but as you know, this is a strategy, this is a foil, this is some form of a strategy to take the celibacy out of Rishishringa, and and as Ramapada recognized that there was a sadness and there's a traitorship in this pastime, where he was led to uh, you know romance and come out of the forest. He let his daughter get married to Vishishringa, and and his daughter's name was Shanta, and finally they are related. This personality, Vishishringa, is related to King Dasrath as well. So in this way, as you can see, this person who had never seen a woman in her life and had all the qualities imbibed on him to foster his yogic uh, process was disturbed. So this disturbance in our life is very common. Sometimes it is the outside noise which disturbs us, and sometimes this association with women can be momentarily fruitful, but in the long run, as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, quoting Kapila Dev, is a distraction to our yogic advances, and that is the reason why it has to be kept away. And there are many examples in our movement also where there were challenges, and that's the reason why Srila Prabhupada laid out a very strict process of sannyas and these three varnas, uh, brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyas should be associated with pure austerity. And also, when you think about this, you might have heard about another pastime around Bilwa Mangal Thakur, who who had uh, who was very devotional, who was really rich, and he was devotional, but he had a very bad habit of associating with women. And in order to meet the woman, this is an unchaste woman. Her name was uh, Chintamani. And when he used to go to meet, and there was heavy rain, and in order to get to Chintamani, because it's in the mind, he it was heavy rain with water all around, and he would take uh, the help of a corpse which is flowing, and eventually thinking that there is a rope, he's actually holding onto a snake and getting to Chintamani place, and seeing Chintamani in the middle of the night when there was heavy rain outside. Chintamani started telling her, with this much of effort you would end up doing for acquiring Krishna consciousness, you will definitely would be successful. But instead, you are spending time with the unchaste prostitute Chintamani, and how sad it is. So when he listened to this, he became very sad. He became very frustrated. So he realized that that uh, his views of the Chintamani's words, prostitute Chintamani's words, has left a impression that how low he has become in the middle of the night with heavy rain, taking the help of a corpse and a snake. He is getting to Chintamani's house. So, so he left that place and went towards Vrindavan. But this lack of good character is such a thing which haunts people. So he left Chintamani, but his uh, attitude towards women hadn't changed. So he works towards Vrindavan, and there he saw a beautiful couple, and seeing the wife, he got attracted again, and he requested the husband that can I have some personal time with your wife? And then, as he is a saintly, I mean, like a very like conscious person, and he's requesting uh, have her. But Mangala approached the wife. He realized, self-realized that he is going through a process which is making him go down, which we typically call falling down, right? So he asked for the hair pin from the from that wife who the husband has left him to, uh, you know, have association with, and then using that pin, now that the realization is set in that he is into terrible downward movement in his yogic aspiration, he got that pin and he thrust that pin into his eyes, because his eyes are making him go away from the Supreme, and his eyes are so difficult to control that whenever these eyes are staring at others, he is getting into a very bad situation. So with that hairpin of that wife, of that person, Bilwamangal Thakur crushed his eyes, and then he became blind. And now that the eyes are gone, he became fully Krishna consciousness. As you can see, that the person, as so, so as uh, Villamangal Thakur left a very strong impression of getting rid of his eyes for the benefit of his progress in his aspiration towards. So Villamangal Thakur later wrote so many beautiful poems or prayers in glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So going back to our original discussion, uh, that as you can see, Villamangal Thakur and also Rishi Sringa, they are amazing tale of how the association uh, with women can let our progress into Krishna consciousness very difficult. So with that, like to reflect on this by saying that as much as possible, we should avoid interaction wherein if it is taking us away from Krishna consciousness, to stop that in our lives. And that's a yardstick which Kapil Dev is spending a lot of time explaining about how to progress in Krishna consciousness. So what are the impediments in this chapter where the movement of living entities are so nicely explained by Kapil Dev in his uh, commentary to Mother Devi. So with that, I'd like to end. Thank you so much for kind attention. Jai Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Madhupati Prabhu is not there, so you can just end it.
Okay. So let's end today's discussion. Was I audible, Mataji, during the class?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
So let's end by offering prayers to the Shingadev. Shri Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Jai Jai Shri Narsingha, Prahlad Desu Jai Padma Mukha Padma Sringha, Ugram Veera Mahavishnu Jagvantam Sarvatam Mukha, Shingnam Vishanam Mudram Mrityu Namam Vishnu Bhagwan Ki Jai. So let's offer prayers at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas by saying
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa
Sindhu
Vacha Patitanam Pavane
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namah.
Vaishnavrinda Ki
Vrinda ki Jai.
Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki
Jai.
Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
God Hari
Hari Bol. Nice story, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hari Bol.
Thank you, everyone. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.